Lots of people have been trying to use Seedance 2 to create videos but keep getting back results that look nothing like the outputs they've seen. And it's not that the tool isn't good enough, it's that most people don't know how to use it to the fullest. However, I figured out the best workflow to get the exact result you have in mind without generating 5 different times and wasting your credits. So by the end of this video, you're going to go from getting mediocre generations to having a structured workflow where every single output has a purpose before it's made. The platform we're going to be using to access Seedance 2.0 is called Higgsfield. If you want to follow along, I've left the link to Higgsfield in the description below. Seedance 2.0 runs on a multimodal input system, which means instead of just taking a text prompt, it can take text, reference images, video, and audio all at the same time, and use all of that together to generate the output. That is why consistency across multiple generations is possible with this model when it is set up correctly. It also generates native audio that is synced to the visuals, understands cinematic camera direction written directly into the prompt, and handles fast physical movement in a way that most other models fall apart on. Now, to show you the full power of this model, instead of just showing you isolated generations, I want to show you a complete workflow, start to finish, so you can see exactly how every decision connects to the one before it. And to do that properly, we're going to build a complete AI short film. The single biggest reason people waste credits in Seedance is that they open the generator, write a vague prompt, get a vague result, and then spend the next 10 generations trying to fix it. The fix is simple. You plan out exactly what you want to create before generating. The more details you give the AI, the better results you will get. That's why for our film, we need a script. You can either write one yourself or use a chatbot like Claude to write it for you. I'll open Claude and write the exact concept I have for our script. The scene I am describing is a battle between a warrior named Vega and a creature called the Beast, set in a ruined city at night. I'll give Claude the full concept, including the setting, the characters, and the emotions I want to portray, and ask it to build out the scene structure and the dialogue. From that, Claude gives me the full scene structure and the 3 lines of dialogue that are going to anchor each segment of the film. That's the entire backbone of this production. And the reason this matters is that Seedance generates 15 seconds per clip, so you need to know exactly what happens in each 15-second window before you generate anything. Claude locks that in for you in about 30 seconds, and it saves you from going in blind. Keep in mind that when you're planning your story, you should break it down into clear parts: the beginning, the turning point, and the final act. This makes it much easier to write prompts that actually move the story forward, instead of just describing random action. Now that the story is set, the next thing I need to build is the world that our story takes place. And this is where most people make their second biggest mistake, which I'll show you how to avoid. That's why we need a consistent location and characters for our project. Open up Higgsfield and go to Cinema Studio 3.0 from the homepage. This is where we build the 3 reference images that are going to hold the entire film together: the location, the hero, and the villain. The reason I do this before generating any video is consistency. If you skip this step, the AI decides what your character looks like, what the environment looks like, and it makes every generation look different. Let's start with the location. Click on location, make sure you're in image mode, and paste in your prompt. And don't just add something vague. The way you write your prompts is the most important part for getting professional outputs. The formula I use is subject plus action plus environment plus lighting plus camera angle. If you want your location to feel cinematic, think about what makes a movie set stand out. Don't just say city at night. The more you can visualize it, the better the AI will deliver. With just one prompt, the location is done, and it all reads exactly like the backdrop of a big budget action sequence. Now, once you have an image you're happy with, you need to check its eligibility. Go into Seedance 2.0, click Upload Media, go to Elements, then upload your image. If it passes, an eligible label will appear. Not every image will pass on the first try, so if it doesn't, just regenerate and try again. The eligibility check exists because Seedance needs reference images that meet specific quality and composition standards to actually use them as anchors during generation. An image that looks great to you might still fail if the composition is too cluttered or the lighting is too flat. So if you keep getting rejections, try generating a cleaner, simpler version of the same prompt, and that usually does it. Now let's move on to our characters. First, let's create our hero. Click on characters and paste in your prompt with the same structure as before. For this one, I want to create a fierce woman wearing battle gear that looks like she's been through lots of battles. Let's generate. The cracked armor panels are a detail I put in deliberately. They tell you she's already been in a fight before this one even starts. That kind of visual storytelling is what separates a character that feels real from one that just looks like a costume. I'll call her Vega. Now, verify the eligibility inside Seedance. Now for the villain. This one needs to be extra specific because we're not creating a human, so the AI needs more details for the best result. We're creating a monster for our hero to fight. The Ember Eyes are what make this thing feel alive. Without a specific detail like that, you end up with something generic. You'll need to check the eligibility again. With our location and characters ready, we have everything we need to build our film. And this part is going to change how you think about AI video generation entirely, because we're not just making clips, we're making a sequence. Go to the video generation workspace in Higgsfield and choose Seedance 2.0 as your model. Before I write a single prompt, let me explain how the workflow runs, because this is the part that makes everything connect. Each segment is one generation, 15 seconds long. I write one prompt per segment that covers the full scene, what's happening on screen, how the camera moves, and what the audio sounds like. After each generation comes back, I grab the last frame of the video and save it. That saved frame becomes the reference for the next segment. That's how you get continuity across 3 completely separate generations without the characters or the environment changing between them. Upload all 3 reference images, Vega, the beast, and the location. Set the duration to 15 seconds. I'll paste in my first prompt and hit generate.
That's the last building you touch.
The camera movement at the start does exactly what a good opening shot should do. By the time Vega lands, you already understand the scale of what's happening. Take this clip, grab the last frame, and save it. That's your bridge into the next generation. This time, make sure the 3 images are uploaded. Also, upload the last frame of the previous video as your reference. Now it's time for the next segment, where our 2 characters fight. I'll put in my prompt and generate.
Okay, gloves off.
The moment she is ready to charge after being hit into the rubble makes the scene more emotional. That's the moment where it stops being an action scene and starts being a character scene. Seedance handles that tonal shift really well when you give it clear pacing direction in the prompt, which is exactly why writing this out in Claude First makes such a difference. We have 1 segment left, so upload all 3 reference images again, plus the last frame of the previous video as your reference.
Stay down!
The ground level angle makes Vega feel powerful and dominant, while the centered framing gives her a strong, hero-like presence, and the slow dolly out at the end makes the scene feel more dramatic. That's the difference between a prompt that generates something mediocre from one that generates something that actually feels like a film. Now we have 3 different generations, but our characters and locations stay consistent in every single one from start to finish. That's what a proper Seedance workflow produces. If you want to take your sequences to the next level, experiment with different camera movements and audio cues in each segment. For example, try a handheld shot for chaos, a slow dolly for tension, or a sudden cut to silence for dramatic effect. These choices can completely change the mood of your film and make your AI outputs feel much more intentional. Since we've collected all our segments, it's time to put it all together. Take all 3 segments into a video editor. I'm using CapCut, but you can use whatever you like. Drag them into the timeline in order. Because you already cut the last frame from each clip, before using it as a reference, the transitions between segments should be clean. Adjust the pacing if anything feels slightly off, and export the full sequence as one file. Now let's look at our final result.
That's the last building you touch. Okay, gloves off. Stay down!
We have 3 segments, consistent characters, a complete story, and audio that feels natural. That is what this workflow produces when every step is done in the right order, and that's the complete workflow. Claude for the story, Cinema Studio 3.0 for the references, Seedance 2.0 for the generations, and CapCut for the assembly. Every step has a reason, and every step feeds into the next one. No wasted credits, and no regenerating the same shot 6 times, hoping it comes out differently. With this workflow, You'll learn every step you need to master Seedance 2 and get the outputs you want instantly, instead of wasting your credits. And with Higgsfield, you can run this entire workflow inside one platform without paying for 5 different subscriptions. If you want to start building cinematic AI videos like this today, click the link in the description and get started with Higgsfield. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.